Are you a BJJ competitor who identifies as a slow starter? Well, you're not alone, but the problem is that most athletes just accept that they're a slow starter, and this is a huge issue as this will cost you so many matches. I'm a mental performance coach for BJJ athletes from serious hobbyists to multiple-time world champions, and the good news is that you can choose to become an absolute menace and put your opponents on the back foot straight from the start. So instead of telling yourself that you're a slow starter, focus on these 3 tools and you can come out the gate like a honey badger on steroids and start to win more matches. All right, tool number 1 is the 30-second rule. So I came across this incredible stat on BJJ Heroes that 89% of matches are won by the person who scores first. So if the first person to score wins 89% of the matches, your goal is to start competing as hard as you can for the first 30 seconds. I want you to give out all-out effort and be aggressive from the word go. And this is a great tool to use as this narrows your focus to something that you can control. You can't control if you score, but you can control your aggression levels and effort. And this will help you achieve the goal of being the first to score. I'm not going to ask you to sprint for the whole 5 or 10 minutes of the match. After the first 30 seconds of all-out effort, you tend to settle into your normal pace of competing. But we just know that that first 30 seconds is so crucial that we have to go in there ready to compete, push, all-out effort, high aggressiveness, compete hard. And then after that, you can kind of settle in to the normal pace of the match and the normal pace that you compete at. So in your next training session or an open mat, ask your partner if you can start to play first to score. You start the roll standing like in a match, and your goal is to be the first one to score and not to accept anything less than that. And once there's a score, you can, stand back up, take a breath, reset, and then go again. And this is a great way to practice what you want to do at the start of the match, and more importantly, how aggressively you want to approach that first 30 seconds. One of my clients, Richard, we went to the London IBJJF Open, and that was the first time where we implemented this 30-second rule. He was quite nervous in the corner. He's done his routine, and as we were in the bullpen, he felt a little bit nervous, so I just narrowed his focus. Hey, just focus on 30 seconds. 30 seconds, everything you have, and that gave him great results. And most importantly, helped him calm down. He felt less anxious, and now he absolutely loves that tool, that rule. So every time he's been competing since, he's been just focusing on that 30-second rule, and it's something that he's practiced in training as well. And now he's an absolute menace, straight from the gate, ready to compete as hard as he can. And in the last tool of this video, I'm going to show you how you can consistently do this every single time you step on the competition mats. Tool 2, find your Goldilocks zone. Do you remember the kid's story, Goldilocks and the 3 bears? Well, long story short, Goldilocks breaks and enters into Bear Family's house and then has the audacity to start eating their porridge, which is cooling down as they're out for their daily walk. One's too hot, one's too cold, but the one of them is just perfect and she just gets stuck in. So why am I talking to you about a 19th century British fairy tale? Well, before you can go out and pull the trigger and give that 30 seconds of all-out effort, you need to be mentally ready to do so. Goldilocks zone is your ideal energy level you like to compete at and where you perform at your best. This means you're not too high, but you're not too lethargic either. Instead, you feel just right to compete. Hence, by the name Goldilocks zone. Once you know your Goldilocks zone, you can start the match fast and pull the trigger from the get-go. One of the issues that BJJ athletes have is that it takes them about 1 or 2 minutes to actually start feeling like they're ready to compete. So, you might be 1 or 2 minutes into the match, but you're already being scored on, the guys are inside control, now you're drowning, but now you feel like you can start to give full effort because you're behind or you start to get to that ideal energy zone. And at this point, it might be way too late for you to actually come back from that deficit. Most athletes either feel way too lethargic, so low energy, and compete too relaxed, or they feel way too anxious when they step on the mats, that high energy, and then they just completely freeze up. And I'm sure you felt both sides of this coin. So how do you go about actually finding your perfect energy level? All right, grab a pen, grab a paper, and reflect back on your best ever performances in competition or in the training room. So first of all, I want you to think about, what was your energy like? Were you calm? Were you fired up? Were you focused? Were you aggressive? What did that performance, that best ever performance, feel like? Once you've written down your answers, what would you rate that energy from a scale of 0% to 100%? 0% will be you relaxed on the beach, and 100% is you being at your most aggressive that you can be. You probably do very little work between the 0 and 50% range, because Jiu-Jitsu is a combat sport, but 50 to 100 is probably the sweet spot for most people. So try and choose something, a number between those, by reflecting on the questions that I just asked. And examples would be, Mikey Musumeci is probably a bit more lower end of the scale, probably close to the 50. And then you have athletes in the higher end of the scale, which is like Andrew Tackett, the Ruotolo brothers, Cody Steele, very, very high energy, aggressive competitors. But the question is now, how do you actually get to this ideal energy every single time you compete? I'm glad you asked. Let's go to tool number 3. You need to build a pre-competition routine. Now you found your ideal energy target, so your only job before matches becomes to get to that target energy. And if you do this consistently, you're gonna start to have consistent and predictable performances every time you step on the competition mats, which is exactly what we want, right? So a pre-competition routine is a series of steps and tools you can use that will help you get to your energy target. Most of the time you'll be, outside of your energy zone. You're either too anxious, too high, or you're too lethargic, which means too low. But with these routines, you can adjust accordingly and get to where you need to be to perform at your best before you step on the mats. How you can do this on a competition day is quite simple. First of all, you check your energy. Are you too high, or are you too low, or are you just perfect? If you're perfect, there's nothing you need to do. Just step on the mats, go and compete. If you're too anxious, use tools to lower your energy, like breath work, calming music, lowering the stakes of the competition. These can be great ways just to lower that mental chatter, that overthinking, and calm yourself down so you're ready to step on the mats at your target energy. Now on the opposite end, if you're feeling a little bit too lethargic, a little bit low on energy, use tools to energize yourself. So you could be watching motivational videos, music that pumps you up, explosive movements like burpees or sprints. These can be great ways to increase your energy. But it's really important that you understand where you're landing. So if your target energy is 70% and it's about 20-30 minutes before competing and you're about 30-40%, you have to energize yourself to get to that zone. And if you're feeling too anxious, so maybe you're 90%, maybe it feels like a really, really big competition for you, maybe it's time to lower that energy to that 70. But it all depends on where you're at any given time. So this depends from competition to competition, on your preparation, so many different things. Every competition is unique to you. So you just need to find and have that awareness to check with yourself to go, hey, where am I? And then put yourself there. And my invitation now is for you is to find 1 or 3 tools to write down how you can either increase your energy, and then 1 or 3 tools to lower your energy. So at any given time, you can have these written down. If you're low, you can go to your list of routines that you can do to hype yourself up or calm yourself down. But this is so important. And I guarantee you, if you hit your target energy every single time, you're gonna have a predictable performance. And if you hit your target energy before the match, rather than during the match, you're gonna be able to pull the trigger from the start, which means you'll be able to absolutely maul the person in front of you for the first 30 seconds, get your first score and increase your chances to that 89% to win that particular match. But if you need more help with this, I actually got 2 in-depth workshops that will help you make this happen. One is about finding that personal energy target, that Goldilocks zone, and one is around building your pre-competition routine from scratch. So you can check them out inside the training room platform. I'll just put the link in the description. If you're interested, you can check that out. Now, I want you to go and implement these 3 tips, and I'm absolutely confident that your next competition looks very different from your previous one. And if you like this video, you'll absolutely love this video about 8 things insanely consistent BJJ competitors do that you don't. So if you want to find that consistency on the competition mats, just click this video here.